So Zowie will soon be releasing 3 new mice, and I've got 2 of them here. We've got the ZA13-DW and the FK2-DW. So during this video, what we're going to go through is the shape, I'm going to talk about the quality, and then we're going to talk about the value proposition that I think is the best thing that has changed with this revision. The price has gone down and the quality has gone up. So the main feature changes in this revision here are the fact that these mice are finally wireless. The weight is down to 65 grams for the FK2 and 66 grams for the ZA13. And when using the enhanced receiver, you can now achieve 2K and 4K polling rates. And the overall button implementation has been phenomenal. The side buttons and mouse 1 and 2 are very well dialed in and feel extremely satisfying to press. And the classic scroll wheel feels a little more balanced on these revision D mice compared to the revision C units I have here, including my U2. The coating also feels great. It's maybe not quite as much as a fingerprint magnet as the U2 was, but it's still just as grippy. So if you aren't familiar with the FK and the ZA shapes, I'll do my best to explain that to you now. The FK2 has a very low height profile, and therefore it's not commonly used for palm grip. It is the perfect style of mouse for fingertip grip though, or claw grip if you like minimal palm contact in your claw grip. And that's because it has such a low profile and the back hips of the mouse extend low and all the way to your playing surface. So while in claw with the FK2, the hump kind of slides underneath your thumb and pinky pads. So when I'm aggressively clawing this mouse, I get no contact with my palm whatsoever, and I'm solely reliant on my thumb and pinky pads to provide the stability that you'd often get in claw. Alternative grips include a nice relaxed claw, and I grip the back hump with my thumb and pinky knuckles and rest my fingers into the nice tapers at the front of the mouse. In fingertip grip, the FK2 feels a little longer than my G-Walls HTX, and when I fingertip grip in the middle of the mouse, the long, low extended hump often slides under my thumb and pinky pads, making light contact there when I draw the mouse back to manage my recoil. I don't mind this, as the contact adds stability to my aim, but if I grip further back on the mouse, the contact issue in fingertip grip is mitigated. And this will all depend on your personal preference for fingertip grip style. If you like gripping in the middle of the mouse, prepare yourself for some thumb and pinky pad contact, whereas if you like gripping at the back, I think you'll have a wicked experience with very little contact with a large range of motion. So the FK2 has a nice shape to the sides, which does support a variety of fingertip grips. It has a fairly wide back end that comes in narrow at the hips and then flares back out again towards the front slightly. The ZA13, by comparison, offers a really prominent hump and some nifty anchor points on the front end of the clip bumpers for added stability and grip. I love the ZA13 for both aggressive and relaxed claw. I can also palm the ZA13, but I'd enjoy this more on a maybe slightly bigger model because my hands are quite big at 21 by 10.5 centimeters. In aggressive claw, the hump feels very tall inside my grip. I personally really like this. It gives me a lot of stability and some nice tangible anchor points for my knuckles and fingers. In aggressive claw grip, the hump is high enough that I can press my index and middle finger knuckles into the top of the hump to get some added stability. While in relaxed claw and palm grip, all of my knuckles wrap entirely around the hump. It gives me some really nice contact points for that middle section of my hand. So if I compare the ZA13 to the Pulsar X2H, which is another mouse I really enjoy, I'd say the ZA13 hump better supports the inside of your palm. The ZA13 is potentially more subtle by comparison. I'd suggest it's potentially taller than the X2H hump, but less round, which means it kind of slots into your hand really nicely. The profile of the ZA mouse base is very similar to the FK. It's wide at the back, narrow in the middle, and it flares out slightly towards the front. So I've had a lot of fun playing with the ZA13 in aggressive claw, relaxed claw, and palm grip. And despite it not being the biggest model that Zowie has historically offered of the ZA, it still feels big enough and is really a medium-sized mouse, I would say, that I can experiment with those grips with this version of the mouse. Some of the things I really like about these mice and I appreciate about having both of them here is that they offer distinctly different experiences. The FK2 is much more catered to having minimal contact with your palm and the inner hand, whereas the ZA13 is much more catered to having, extreme contact with your inner hand. And I really like that. I like how Zowie's shapes all seem to serve different purposes. Zowie don't talk too much about their approach to continuous improvement, but I have an early batch EC1CW here, and I've used it for hundreds of hours at this point. And when I bought an EC2 CW at a later date, I actually realised that Zowie had made some changes to the scroll wheel and to the side buttons, and they basically improved the button implementation in between batches for their EC lineup, essentially making the side buttons more crispy and responsive and the scroll wheel less loud and obnoxious. And I'll share a clip with you now where I actually discovered that unboxing the EC2. Buttons feel a little bit sharper on this one. My scroll wheel sounds different. Listen to that. This is the EC2. And this is the EC1. They must have done something to the scroll wheel. So these small changes make such a big difference to how these mice feel to play with. And I love to see that Zowie are making these incremental changes to improve the product as a whole from one batch to the next, because it shows me that Zowie aren't complacent and they are striving for perfection. And in my opinion, you know, we go from the early batch EC1 to the later batch EC2. There was improvement there. There was improvement between my EC2 and my Zowie U2. And then again, that improvement has continued into the Revision D Zowie lineup. These mice feel so incredibly well dialed in with their buttons. The implementation of every aspect of this mouse is pretty much spot on perfect for me. I love it. I want to talk to you now about the value proposition that Zowie are giving us as a community with this Revision D lineup. In previous versions of their EC lineup, I paid £160 for this mouse, I think. That felt expensive and that was a difficult pill to swallow at the time. The Revision D lineup now is selling for £130, which, although £30 doesn't sound like a lot, it makes a big difference. I don't really like paying more than £130. £150 is typically my limit for a mouse. But with this mouse, you get so many added features and benefits that it's really difficult to argue that anyone else gets close to the value that Zowie offers. So to take that value proposition discussion a little bit further, you're not only getting a top tier, like honestly top tier product here with extremely well dialed in clicks. Everything on this thing is perfect for me. You're not only getting that, you're getting 2 receivers in the box with a really convenient little switch on the bottom to switch between them. So you can flick between 2 computers if you're working from home in a matter of seconds. And that is a convenience feature I love. So it makes it not only a good gaming mouse, it makes it a good working mouse too. On those receivers, you get a charging dock, so you don't have to faff around with cables all the time, which isn't a massive inconvenience, but it's a benefit of the Zowie mouse. You get a charging dock, you just plonk it on the top, and it works great. You also get 3 sets of mouse feet, if you include the ones that are already installed on the mouse, and you get a warranty with it too. I think these mice are top tier. I think they are absolutely banging for the money that you pay for them. And I honestly don't think at this point in time, anyone else is selling a product for this price point with this amount offered in that package. I'm super grateful to Zowie for sending me the FK2 and the ZA13, and I do plan to buy the S2 myself because Zowie have denied my begging and my pleading to get another copy. So I will be purchasing that one myself when I can, when it's been released to us in the UK. I would expect that release to be very soon. Zowie themselves have told me to release this video on the 18th of October, so I'd assume pre-orders will go live on that day, and I'll link the Zowie website down below in case you're interested in picking one up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has been useful, and I'll catch you soon.